Hello! I wanted to share my experience with LASIK eye surgery. People have made these videos, and I think that's a great way to share your experience so other people that are interested in the procedure can hear about it, pros and cons, and what that was like. So, I went to my regular eye place where I live, which was Claris Eye Center. And in the eye center, they have within it the people that do the LASIK surgery. They're not part of Claris. They're separate, but they're in there. So it's all in there. So it's not a separate facility or anything. And the doctor that did my surgery, I really thought was very professional. His name is Dr. J. Rudd, R-U-D-D, M-D. And this is in Lacey, Washington. But I thought he was very good. I don't have any problem with him. Now, most of the time, I saw his assistant, which I forget his name. I think his first name was Chris. And he worked with me mostly. Like, I saw him a lot more than I saw Dr. Rudd. But Chris was very nice and very cute. I had a crush on him, I must say, even though he's very young compared to me. But I kind of felt like a part of the LASIK intake procedure is kind of a sales job. I kind of felt, they said I was a great candidate, let's do all the tests and see, and you're a great candidate and all this stuff. But I've always had the sense that it's a little bit of a sales job, aside from the professional experience of it. So that was my kind of intuition about it. But I was nervous because they used to say that if you don't qualify if you have astigmatism or this, that, and the other. And I don't know if I have that, maybe a little, but that's not the case anymore. I don't think they've upgraded their ability in these surgeries. I've always worn glasses because I could never get contacts into my eyes, so I didn't have to worry about a time period of letting my eyes rest from contacts because I've always worn glasses. I was farsighted? No, nearsighted. I could see near, but I couldn't see far. I should look up what my prescription used to be. I didn't have horrible vision, but I did have to wear glasses every day to see far, to see clearly, far. Now, I'm 50 years old now. I got the procedure when I was 49, and in terms of my reading ability, I've always been able to read without glasses. I needed glasses to see far, to watch movies, to watch TV, to drive, to see far. But I didn't need them to see near. I could read fine. I could see everything just fine near. In the last couple of years, I did have a little problem seeing near as clearly, so I started to wear bifocals with, I think it was 0.75 strength of bifocals. Very, very slight. I just needed enough help. But I could still read without glasses, but I don't know. For some reason, I also needed help sometimes. So that was where I was at with that. Now, I went in for many, many, many pre-appointments where they measure your eyes, measure your retinas, measure your corneas, get all these wave, I could look up what it's called, but all these pictures of your eye, three-dimensional cornea lens. And I went back many, many times to get a lot of measurements so that the procedure was just right for my eyes. Now, I'm really glad that I went in town. A lot of people go out of town because you can find cheaper prices. You can find it in Mexico, you can find it in Canada, you can find it in other towns. You can always find a cheaper price. But I'm glad I stayed in town because I went back and forth a lot for these pre-exams, a lot, like many, many times. So I'm really glad I just stuck within town. That way I could get everything without a hardship to myself. So I went in for quite a few of these measurements, and those were very interesting, very painless, very easy, very quick. Really interesting technology they use these days. And so they could get really good, accurate measurements. Now, I also tried an experiment with a week of contacts, I think in one eye, to try monovision or whatever they call it, where one eye is set for far and one eye is set for near. Or I would have kept my near vision eye and the other one would be fixed. So just one eye would be fixed for far. So I tried contact for a week in one eye to see if I could just get that monovision thing going. But first of all, I'm terrible with contacts, so they had to put it in for me, which was very, very difficult. And then I never adjusted to that vision. I always saw double vision for that whole week. I really wanted that to work. I really, really wanted it to work. I really wanted only to do one eye. I really wanted to keep the other eye for near. I really wanted to be able to do that. But my brain did not compensate. And the doctor said it wouldn't get better. It wouldn't compensate any better over time. And that I guess it wasn't going to work. And then for another week we tried the other eye. So it's like, well, maybe it's the eye. So we tried putting one contact in the other eye to see if the other eye would compensate better, but that didn't work any better. And I would just see double vision. I wanted to tear these lenses out of my eyes over that week, but I couldn't get them out because I don't know how to do that. So that unfortunately was a failed experiment, and I was really bummed about it. I really only wanted to do that. So I ended up having to do both eyes. Now, the bummer with that is it's double the price. One eye would have been half the price. So the total amount for both eyes, and this was the iLASIK procedure. This was the procedure where they cut a flap in the lens and they lift it up, and then they, by laser, change the lens or cornea or whatever they do, and then they put the flap back down, and then the flap heals. So it was that particular kind of eye surgery they did. So the total cost for both eyes, total cost was $4,350. So if I only did one eye, it would have been like half that, which bummed me out. Now, they had a $250 deal where they took $250 off. So that's with $250 off for the deal, which was very nice. But that was the cost. Now, the procedure was very quick. Out of all that pre-exams that took many, many times and a lot of time for many different measurements on each time I went in there, but they were very short. It didn't take very long to do, but there was a lot of time put into getting an very accurate measurement, because that's very important. And then they program that in to a chip or something, which they then put into this laser machine, and then so everything is set before that surgery. And then when they do the surgery, it's all the measurements are in by this chip. I don't know how they do that, but that's how that works. So the surgery itself is very, very fast. I don't know, it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It was very fast, where they cut the flap, and then the pre-measured laser thing gets done, and then the flap gets put down. And it was very painless, no pain at all. There was a pre-procedure where they put iodine on my eyes to clean up, and that was horrible. It went in my eye, burned my eye, so then they had to wipe that off. But there was some pre-procedure before the surgery. So the other thing that this cost was, the good thing about the cost was it covered every single exam. It covered a pre-eye exam for an accurate measurement of what my vision was before. It covered all those measurements. It covered the contact experiment. It covered the surgery. It covered the follow-up and everything. So that's the cost of it all, period. Which I think is really great, that I didn't have to worry about, well, when I come in, is this going to cost? Is this going to cost? Is this going to cost? And they said that it was kind of satisfaction guaranteed, that if for some reason we needed to fix something or change something, that they would do that for free, that there was no cost. If we had to go back in and redo something or do something different, it would have been no cost. So that was very nice. So I like that. Now, I also, the drops afterwards. So there's a whole post-operative directions that you follow. Now, one thing is they put the directions all typed out on this, but after surgery, I couldn't see. I couldn't read these directions. I had them taped up to my counter, and I tried to follow, what drops, how often, and I got all those by sample there. So that I didn't have to pay for any of these drops, which some of them are expensive. Get all the samples you can. Get lots and lots of samples so that you have the drops you need. But I had to rewrite which and how often in much larger print so I could read it after the surgery. So do that. If you're like me, you're 50 years old and you have this, because I could not read it after the surgery. It was very, very frustrating because my eyes were still healing, first of all, and second of all, I could no longer see close. So, but definitely I suggested to them to retype this using very, very large, dark font so that after the surgery, when your eyes are still healing, you can actually read this. And they were like, oh, we didn't think about that. I hope they don't have this small print for everybody at the eye center that can't read. Like, you can't read this. It's so small. Okay, so that was sort of the lead up. And now I'm going to do part 2 with my pros and cons.